good afternoon, good evening, depending on folks. It's your man, always Judge Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, can you believe it? It is Memorial Day weekend coming up this weekend. I mean, wow! We just started 2025, and now we're just halfway through. It's not a new year; it's already 6 months, just about 6 months in 25. It's not a new year, folks. It's not really a new year anymore. You know, once you hit summer, everything just goes down quick. So, folks, and it's a Memorial Day. This lovely lady here, she has served our country in the United States Navy. So, anytime you see somebody who serves our country, I have families as veterans. Don't say thank you for your service, because it's not a service we're doing. Doctors, nurses, waitresses, they provide a service. It's a sacrifice these people are making for our country. So, as a citizen, often say to them, I thank you for your sacrifices for our country. So we have here the lovely IFBB Pro figure competitor, Miss Lisa Hutchins, if I got it right. Yeah. And she recently just competed like about a month ago at the Emerald Cup, where she won at Women 35 plus, which is not a Olympic qualifier. And technically it's not really a mass qualifier, but she won her class. So she's going to share a story about what got her started bodybuilding and what are her plans for the rest of what's up for 2025. So ma'am, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. You much appreciate. So please share with me, for us out there, what got you started in sports? I call it muscle and masculinity. Appreciate it.
Building. All right. So when I was 26, I had always, I don't know why I started buying them, but it was the Oxygen magazines, the Muscle and Fitness Hers. But anyways, there was one picture in particular. It was Monica Brandt. She was doing a ad for Endo Rush, and I saw her, and it was like it had her full body in it, and I was like, wow! I was just blown away by her physique. It was back then. It wasn't really something that you saw a lot of. There was I guess maybe around my circle, there was less people that, had a little bit of muscle on the female frame. And I was like, I want to look like her. So the first thing I did, of course, was run out and buy Endo Rush. And then I started going to the gym and started YouTubing, like just all these programs and everything on how to lift, and it just kind of took off from there. So I started lifting. I'm trying to remember like what year that was. But anyways, I just started lifting. I knew I needed muscle. So come my career in the military, one of my goals were to step on stage before I got out of the military. So I found a team and I started working with coaches. And then my last day of active duty, I stepped on stage in San Diego. And the next day, I packed up all my stuff and drove home.
That's a
So
good
that's
story.
what kind of started my bodybuilding career right there, was that one picture in the ad.
Well, what got me into bodybuilding, because my older brother, he used to play football in our hometown. We call his nickname was He-Man. He was my big brother. I miss him. He's been gone for, it's going to be just, I don't want to get too much how long it's going to be gone, but it's been more over 20 years. And he used to get the muscle max too. And I grew up around about the 80s, when you had guys like He-Man and the Thundercats, the big
Rock.
muscular character, and he used to like guys like Lee Haney and Arnold Schwarzenegger and, a lot of those guys. But then when I got about into my teenage years, something about y'all ladies, y'all kind of distracted me. I just, it's just, I was going to just something different, because I'm from the South, and women like that were just not very commonplace. Women with these
Right.
muscles. So you made what was that feeling like? What division was it when you made your bodybuilding debut?
It was figure. It's always been figure. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I
It's
think
really,
my body, like my body type and where I want to keep my body, figure was the best for me. Even though I love other divisions so much, but I think figure is just where I'm going to stay in my career with bodybuilding.
Mhm. That's respectful. Because I know a lot of ladies who say they got into either was bikini. I know a few ladies who started out in women's bodybuilding exactly and stuck with that division, and then even eventually moved over to physique. Because I think as the sport has evolved over time, the looks have changed. Like if you go
Absolutely.
back to the early days, like I know a guy I follow, he posted pictures of when Richard Lynch won her first Miss Olympia, and those ladies now are smaller to we see bikini. They might be a little bit bigger than fit model, just slightly. Excuse me, fit model. So
But you
not a,
never know. You never know. I think when wellness came out, everybody kind of had the same idea with that. Nobody really knew how it was going to evolve, and honestly, it's evolved so much. Those women are just breathtaking. Like the whole division is amazing. So I'm really curious to see how the fit model is going to evolve into what it's going to be in the future.
yeah. Me, I'm a hater. I'm a hater. I can't hate no more. That's
It's
me.
okay.
That's
A
that'll
lot
be
of
okay.
people hate. I think any new division, I think a lot of people are going to hate on it until it evolves and becomes what it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in the Navy. What was your ranking position?
So I would say quartermaster, but for all you Army people and whatever that say MOS, it's not logistics. So a quartermaster in the Navy is navigation. I navigated the ship. I used paper charts still on my ship. We did use a VMS, which is electronic, but still we had the paper charts. Which was amazing, and it was so cool. Celestial navigation. I was also the main person for master helmsman, which means like if you are pulling into port, pulling out of port, or along side a ship to get provisions, I would be the one steering the ship just because you need to be right on point. And I was in charge of the program. Well, I was one of them in charge of the program and training people in to that position. So I, you did a little bit of extra other things. Like I worked with the flags. It would take like 2 hours to even talk about those, but um, I think it was the best. We call it rate, not MOS, but it was the best job. It was the best rate in the Navy, and I really truly enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, I know it's thank you for it's. I'll say thank. I'll say let's say thanks for research. I'll say I appreciate the sacrifice you made, and it's great that you found yourself that career. What got you into it? I mean, like me when I was coming up, I was in the military. I even took the ASVAB. I passed. I had an 88, and I
Oh,
was thinking about joining the Marine Corps, which is we all know is the younger brother to the Navy. Yeah, and y'all Navy guys you on the boat. You on the boat all day. So, you ain't got no women there, but now you have women. I used to work with this guy. He was a Navy Reserve. You always talking shit about each other. Say, talking about Marine Corps. Y'all just eating crayons like that. I said, yo, y'all on that boat all day with no women. What y'all doing? What y'all doing on that
we
boat?
always talk shit about everything. I mean, yeah, whenever you meet somebody, even if you're in the Navy, you coke and joke about, what happens in the Navy. But when you meet like somebody from the Marines or the Air Force or whatever, you're always throwing, stuff at them. Like you're always making fun of each other.
Yeah, because like the Air Force, hey, so y'all are eating those 5-star meals and everything else,
Yep.
like just like
Yep.
y'all ever do anything but sit and play with computers? But because
Right.
I follow some guys who do do a lot of content on the military. But yeah, but what got you into it?
So, um, about 2008, I started going to school for criminal justice. I wanted to go into forensic. It was either forensics or I wanted to be a U.S. Marshal. And there was this university and this place in Tennessee that I really, really wanted to go to. But I started going to get my bachelor's in criminal justice. And I think I had 103. I had how many more credits? I had 103 credits. I think I had 30 more credits to go. And my grandparents sent me this newspaper article back then that said that Westwood was not accredited school. And I'm like, I made sure it was an accredited school. So I looked into it, and it was nationally accredited, but it wasn't regionally accredited. And I didn't know the difference. I just thought an accreditation was an accreditation and you should go to an accreditation college. So I called the schools that I wanted to go to when I got my bachelor's degree, and they said that unfortunately my my credits wouldn't transfer because it wasn't a regionally accredited school. So I called the local community college, and they said that I would have to start my degree all over. I looked into, I was living in Chicago at the time. I looked into becoming a Chicago police officer. I looked into becoming a Minneapolis police officer because that's where I grew up. So I was trying to, just trying to like grasp at things I can do with this bachelor's degree that I wanted to do so much for. I wanted to get a master's and everything in it. And nope, nothing. And so I made the hard decision into shutting it down. I'm like, why? I'm already $43,000 in debt with the school. Like, I can't start all over. I don't even have a bachelor's degree yet. So I shut it down. I was like, I'm not going to pay more into something that I'm not going to get. And so I was like, what am I going to do? I want to do this. I had a good career at the time. Well, yeah, I had a good career at the time, but I wanted to do something in law enforcement. Anyways, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to join the military. I've always wanted to join the military. And I think that door is going to be opening for me. So I quit my job and I joined the Navy. And I was hoping to be a MA, like Masters at Arms, get my foot in the door of law enforcement while I was in the military. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. So by the time I got out, I was craving my old career. And so I took 6 months off. I went to NASM personal training school for 6 months. And while I did that, I interviewed for the airlines and I went back to the airlines. So I've been doing this for like 18 years now.
Oh, so you are, as they say, you're a stewardess, or as they
You can
call
call me
them,
whatever. Yeah.
flight attendant.
Stewardess, flight attendant, whatever.
Yeah. Well, technically, you're so pretty much, like that's where the name Stewart's come from. The name Stewart from the Navy. They just added a female to it, but it's anyway. You're still technically just a steward anyway. But yeah, I mean that's a lot. And you were thinking about getting law enforcement, so you wanted to be a cop, huh?
I didn't want to be a cop. I wanted to go into forensics, or I wanted to do a U.S. Marshal. At my younger years, maybe when in my early 20s, I wanted to be a police officer. But I always have the most respect for police officers because when you're out there, you watch cops all the time. First of all, you need to get a mullet. No. And then I have the most respect for them because they have less than seconds to react when they're in situations, and it could be dire. Like it's intense.
Yeah. Well, here's my standpoint. Yes, I understand that, but same thing. There are some that do take their authority more than it is, and also being black, we are often victims of prejudices.
Mhm.
It's recently right now. There's talk about I think it's just mostly scuttlebutt and just to get attention away from a mess that this guy is in prison having. Let's talk about getting Derek Chauvin out of prison. Hell no, he's not getting out because he has to do his time,
Mhm.
and it's just we understand the purpose of it, but it goes back to history of how it started for us. It was
And
used
it's been
for
for years,
yeah,
Rodney King. Like we learned all in my criminal justice school. We learned all about that. The LA cops, how corrupt They were at a
The
time, which,
Rampart.
there's in everywhere, there is going to be malicious people, and then there's going to be good people. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. And when you put a malicious person in power, it's very toxic and very dangerous. So I people need to see that, especially when you're managing people in those positions. They need to see the signs of that. I think that is definitely like one thing that they don't do. I feel like they turn the blind eye. They sweep things underneath the rugs. They don't want to look bad. And unfortunately, it comes to um, catastrophic instances where this stuff happens.
Yeah. Also, if it doesn't fit them, it doesn't matter to them. If it fits everybody else, it doesn't matter to them. So
Absolutely.
anyway, yeah. But folks, we know you guys. We getting off the political stuff. We're gonna get back to the interview here because you guys come to see a beautiful buff women. Because one of my crimes, Lisa, I'm a muscle person. Y'all excite me. You just bring something out of me. Just that little part of me. It's
Chris.
like anarchy and chaos. I just love it. But being competitive. What was that experience like that first time on stage for you?
Oh my gosh. I remember, I guess I wasn't too, before I get on stage, it's just, I don't get too nervous. I don't know why. I think I look at it as I'm going to have fun. I'm going to do, whatever. But I remember I went on stage. I remember not hearing anything. I didn't hear what music was playing. I just saw the lights. That's all I saw. And, I did my routine. And when I came off, it was like an adrenaline rush where I'm like, I need to get back on stage and do this again, like immediately. So I think I have so much fun. And yeah, I guess that was the first, going back to San Diego, as I remember, that was the first experience that I had. I was hooked, hook, line, and sinker.
It's like being like an addict. Bodybuilding. From my conversations I talk with you ladies, bodybuilding it's like almost an addiction. It's like once you feel that experience on the stage. Some people can be nervous. Some people can be a little scared. I mean, but then that feeling can be addictive. It's like being New Jack, like Pookie, New Jack City. It be calling me, man. It be calling my name, man. It be calling me, pumping the muscles, man. Be calling me. But yeah, it's like this is a sport that I don't think everybody can do because the sacrifice you got to put in, the time you got to put in, and also for women, because there's I think a lot more of a stigma to it because women with muscle, even though you're a division where you're not as big as physique or figure, you might be a little bit bigger than some wellness girls, and quite a few bikini girls not too far from it. You can look at it now, but I think understanding that you're an athlete and you love this sport. Mm. So, folks, what we got her here now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna jump into her social media. If you want to follow Lisa, check out her link in the description of this live. Guys, she's a lovely lady. She's here to talk with me. Be respectful. Stop it. Get some help. What's wrong with you? I'll tell you, I'm doing this for a while. I've heard stories. Some guys are just
I'm sure you've heard a lot of stuff.
some guys just weird out there. But anyway, folks, we jump into social media. So you want to follow her, you're interested in supporting her path as a bodybuilder, just check out her links and check her out and show respect, guys. So here we are, and you're at the
Emerald Cup.
Emerald Cup. What is that feeling? Because this is your second year as a pro now, or
It's my, oh gosh, my fourth year.
yeah. And what was show that you turned pro at?
Junior Nats of 2021.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think I know a lady who just recently she turned pro from that show a while back, and here she is at the plane. I've never been on a plane. I,
You've
I'm,
never been on a
I'm
plane?
no. I have friends telling me, "Hey, George, why don't you come to see my show?" I said, where's your show at? Says it's such and such. Says, you know, you gotta get on a plane and go see it. Says, nah, I'm not Mr. T. Nah, I ain't getting on plane, fool. I'm not ready for it just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you're
And
ready, let me know.
all right. And here she is at the Emerald Cup. Wow, you have a beautiful body. You
Thank
know,
you.
what was the critique from the judges?
All right. The critique from the judges were cap shoulders. And then my glutes needed to come in tighter. My body needed to be a little bit harder. I think that was it.
Well, like I said, from maybe from just my point of view, I think you have great physique. But the other thing, you always want to work on those things because that's the thing about figure. You have to have a certain kind of look to it. As some ladies tell me, because I've been interviewing quite a few figure competitors. Most of my focus was women's bodybuilding, physique, but I've been crossing to your ladies because y'all really much have great muscle aesthetics. You have a very athletic build, and you got to expect any lady can walk up and down in high heels like y'all do.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
of us are gifted in walking in them. Some of us need a little practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Here she's working out and training, just diet. Yeah. Who's your coach? Who you been working with?
Damien Segovia with the
Mhm.
pros.
So how long y'all two been together?
We've been together for a couple of years now. 2023, January of 2023, I believe.
That's good. It's good relationship. Here's
You
the
want
pose of suit.
to
That's one. Hmm? What you say?
if anybody needs a figure suit, there's one for sale.
All right, it's cool. You know what? Send me the information. I probably post it because I know a lot of ladies might, especially you get new competitors, they might look for a suit and something
Oh,
to wear.
it's a
Here she is.
beautiful suit.
Yeah, here she is sitting here, like I said, this is a lot of work. And this is from when you're in your Navy days. Do you
Yeah,
miss it some days?
that is my ship. That's the USS Ronald Reagan. It's an aircraft carrier, and we took it out of the water. So those are the propellers in the back. That's how big it is.
I remember the story about the Ronald Reagan. This is around the time of the Gulf War. that
No,
they
not that
were,
far.
yeah, I remember that story where there were some issues going on, and it was just I was watching the news, and it was out there for like 6 months, and then there was a story where some ladies would get flied out because they were in the family way. So that was just it was like on the news a long time ago. Here she is.
Oh,
Wow. Who took photos of these? Wow.
that was Paraday photo.
Wow. I would, some person you should work with if you get a chance to, Sean Nelson. I interviewed a while back. He does great photography. He's one of the top guys, especially when it comes to women and muscle in fitness world. I think like I said, you have a beautiful body. What you feel like is your best feature physically?
My quads. I got them from my mom. I've always had them. I've had them since I was born. I saw these baby pictures of me where I'm like tiptoeing by the sink, and I have these quads for days, and I'm like, wow, I've always had them. It's so weird. But yeah, I would say my quads. I don't
So you
really do
say,
too much.
so you say you're walking by the time you're born, huh?
Well, I mean, not right out of the womb, but shortly after.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, that's the thing about the body. It's amazing how you build it and grow it, the work you put into it. It takes a lot of time. Like, like when you're training, what's your regiment like during the week?
So because my work is work and I travel for work, I do a lot of hotel workouts, but I usually train 4 or 5 days a week lifting. And then I do right now, because I'm, you know, just off of prep. I do my cardio is really low. I just do 4 days of cardio.
Hmm.
So it's really, really nice. And then, of course, I walk for days. I get my
Here
step.
she, yeah, here she is at the 2023 Arizona Pro, which is part of the Rising Phoenix, which is
Yeah.
one of the few all lady shows out there.
It was a good show. That's a good show. I
Yeah,
really
yeah, I'm a fan of because you know what? The one person who started the show is the guy who started with strength is Jake Wood. Excuse me, I gotta say it anytime I say his name. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. And and one of my favorite ladies who competes the show is Andrea Shaw, the five-time Miss Olympia champion, four-time Rising Phoenix champion, and who's the lovely ladies beside you?
That is my mother.
Uh, whereas the other sons, there's old son say, you're just as pretty as your mother, just as pretty as your mama. Yeah,
Thank you. She
yes.
is to fitness and nutrition as well. So when I went and got my NASM certificate, she did, and then she went on and got, I think it was the CES, and she used to teach classes, and so she's just of a kind of a health nut as I am. We both like it, so it's nice to have that connection with her.
That's great. I mean, especially with, I would say like this, children and our parents are the most important people in our lives. They're the one who really influences us in our lives. Like one thing is when I started doing this because I was taking care of my mom. She was sick for a long time, and this was something to give my mind some balance. She stood by me when I was going through hard times.
Mhm.
But doing this content, this is something that really helped me. And then when she passed, I said, you know what? Now I have to focus on myself, but I still need something to give me, meaning. And that's why I reach out and do interviews and do content because y'all ladies, because I grew up, like I said, I grew up with my mother, three older sisters, and my younger brother, my older brother, nieces and nephews. And this is something that really gives me a purpose because, and also reach out to you ladies and really, find about your stories. Well, it's a good thing that your mom supports you, and you got her something. Especially, most people of that age, hey, they want to be done with. They don't want to do anything like this. Want to sit back and enjoy their lives and raise grandbabies. But it's good that she found herself a new life in fitness.
Mhm. Yeah, I've always had a very, very good support system. Um, and after I post certain things, which I feel like I need to post more because I didn't know how much I inspire people. I'm a very private person. I try to be as private. So this interview was, I was like, oh God, I got to put myself out there. But people like, when I went to high school, people were reaching out and they were like, basically, I inspire them, to do this and that. And I'm like, wow, like that gives me motivation to like keep on going. And I didn't know how many people, you don't know how many people you inspire. All the haters will hate, but they have no room in your life, in your head, or anything. Who cares? But it's the people that reach out and they say that they're inspired by you, and it just feels so good to hear that. For the people that I just feel kind of bad for the people that their immediate family or their friends, they don't they're the haters, and it just sucks that that's what happens sometimes.
That's why I learned that sometimes people who you're supposed to be your closest, your relatives, closest friends, are the ones who are your biggest doubters. Sometimes you find more support from strangers than you
Mhm.
have from people that is your own flesh and blood. And things about haters, you know what? We need haters because haters makes us do more. And the problem with they hate so much, but we care so little. So
Well,
like when me,
like when I'm at work, when you have a disruptive customer or whatever, um you handle it with grace and kindness, but I always make sure that I'm learning from it and saying I never want to be that way, and I always keep myself in check even on those bad days. Like, you never want to, when somebody's coming at you with so much hate, I feel like now I feel bad for them because if you're coming with me or you're coming at me with so much hate, like, how's the rest of your life? You are not in a good place. And I feel bad that you're not in a good place and you can't enjoy what life you have. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I try to turn that around and use it, yeah, as a learning experience.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing to learn that, and have also to really uplift yourself too, to promote yourself. Because
Right.
the thing about this, I say about this sport, you have to be your own advocate if you can be. You can't look for anybody else to do it for you. I enjoy talking about you ladies because, like I said, I like to be an advocate, but also you have to support yourself and and believe in what you're doing because this is a tough sport. This sport, my conversations, this sport can be mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually draining.
Absolutely.
And the cost of it for y'all ladies compared to the guys, as I call them, the banana hammers and and board shorts, they have their expenses here and there, stuff like that. But y'all
Yeah,
ladies,
they do.
your suits right there, your travel expenses, because you're working at airline, you probably get a little discounting now and then. You can do it like that. And also, everything that comes with like your hair, your makeup, going to the if you because you do masters, you have to pay to compete in that division compared to open. Here we got here, my man Panther Seven coming through. He says, "What up, brother George and beautiful Lisa Hutchins? Happy Thursday to you both. Thank you, brother." Also, this is from Panther. It says, "When it comes to bodybuilding muscle, Lisa, would you say you're more upper or lower body dominant?"
I would say I'm more low. Well, I'm stronger in the lower half, my legs, you know. Um, but like with my physique, I'm pretty balanced, like just physically.
Mhm. We have here is BTO Tog. If I missed your name, brother, I apologize. Says, those are some amazing tattoos, Lisa. How
Oh,
many do you have, and what's the meaning behind them? Also, thank you for your service.
thank you. I appreciate it. Well, this is my Navy tattoo. It's the American flag, which we call the ensign on the ship, which I worked with as being a quartermaster in navigation, not logistics. Um, I have a chevron, meaning I was enlisted because I'm proud of being enlisted. And then I have a sundial. We used to use celestial navigation and all that. So that's with that tattoo. This one I got a long time ago. It's actually H.R. Geiger. He or Giger, however you want to say his name. He is a artist. He was the artist that did Alien, the Alien. So he did all the artistic stuff on that, and I used to love his artwork. He has a museum, I think it's in Switzerland, um, that I would love to go to. But I was just really drawn to his artwork back in the day. Like it was when I was a teenager. So I got my favorite piece of his art on my shoulder. Um,
That's nice. I'm not a big fan of tattoos. I got enough scars and bumps on me. I don't need some not putting ink
that's
across
good.
me.
That's
Yeah, that's I got this here where I got burnt when I was a little kid. Yes, on my knuckles and
good.
and everything else. But yeah, but I think with y'all as competitors, there's a lot of time you put into it. Like I said, with your job, you are a flight attendant. Travel is sometimes, it's hard to kind of have a balanced diet and to work out and train and so much involved with it. I mean,
It is. I'm still learning how to you have to plan. It's all about time management and planning. You have to bring extra food in case you don't come home because you get stuck somewhere. Um I do pretty well with it. I usually bid um certain trips. Like I won't go through Mexico. I won't go to Guatemala. I won't. I'll rarely go to Canada. These are because I cannot bring my food, or you can't bring certain foods. Mexico's very strict. Canada, you can bring some stuff in, but I always feel like it's what they feel like that day. If they want to make you throw out your food or not. And I feel that's with customs kind of everywhere. They just whatever they feel, or it could be the season. Like there's a certain season you can't bring strawberries into Canada, and there's certain seasons you can. It's really weird. And I can't keep up with that. I don't even know if there's a website for that. Let me know if there is for the competitors that compete, overseas. Um, there's certain, like, if I fly to Frankfurt, there's certain grocery stores that I know to go to and get what I need for my layovers if I do internationals, Japan, Tokyo, whatever. Um, so overall, right now, I kind of just stay domestically. I try to work as short hours as I can. Um, our like the other day, I got stuck in Houston for 7 hours, just sitting there with the passengers, waiting for my next flight, and it was awful. But I got my steps in. I have to get 17,000 steps a day. I got my steps in. I do things like that. I try to do things I would be doing at home if that happens, or if I have a 3-hour sit until my next flight. And same with my layovers. I try to bid the trips where I'm not getting up at my showtime's not at 5 a.m. on the East Coast, because that's what 3
3
a.m.
hours.
here. Yeah, so I would have to get up at 1:30, 2 a.m. So I try not to bid those either. I try to wake up the same time every day. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but if it's 8 o'clock here, that's when I usually 7 or 8. That's when I usually wake up on my layovers.
Yeah, yeah. It sound like you're like my man Jerome, because he's an international player of the Himalaya. So yeah, and that's a lot to travel, go to different countries. I know some ladies in Canada. Maybe I might ask, what's the inspection, because they have to come here to the States, and what they can bring. Especially remember during the pandemic, that was that was
That
tough.
was when I got back into bodybuilding. I was like, okay, I'm established at my job. I can bid the trips that I want. Everything calmed down, and I'm like, because I took a chunk off because I left the military and I went to school, and then I, got a job back with the airlines, and you're on call at first. So I'm like, I can't do bodybuilding if they're like, hey, Lisa, we have a trip for you. It's a 6-day and you're going to be laying over in Mexico. I can't bring my food with me. I don't know where I'm going. So I waited. And then, so I reached out to my coach at the time. Well, I was interviewing coaches, but I decided to go with a coach. And I think that was January of 2020. And then the world fell apart 4 months later. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? I can't even go to the gym. So I basically ripped everything off the side of my house, trying to, use bands to work out. It was awful. And yeah, it was just something, but you did it. And I'm just glad I wasn't in prep in 2020 when all the shows were canceling, and you're like 5 weeks out and your show cancels. That just would be absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I tell you the truth. It really hit my family hard, because my mother, she caught the virus that year, and then it
Oh,
wasn't long. Yeah, because she was always sick anyway, so it wasn't long before she passed. But yeah, it was tough for everybody. But we're still here. We're still standing. So
right.
that's a good thing. Here we got here from my man. Shout out to my man. He said B says, what's your thoughts on the new fit model division, where we already talked about it, brother? She's open minded. I'm not, so I'm gonna be like.
Okay.
Yeah, and also we have here is Battle Falls, if that's the name is. I apologize, brother. Says, Lisa, if you could meet and be mentioned by anyone in the fitness industry, past or present, who would it be and why? You have anybody you're a fan of, your favorites, and you just
Yeah. Okay. My rock is Jillian Michaels. That's like where I started. That's where my roots are. Still to this day, I absolutely love listening to her, following her. She's not necessarily, well, she's not a bodybuilder, but she is in the fitness and nutrition industry, and I really look up to her. Yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, Jelly, she used to be on the show Biggest Loser, and I think
Yeah.
she still is a trainer, but now also is a businesswoman.
Right.
Been around for the game for a long time. One person, especially doing this content, especially on bodybuilding, one person who I'm a fan of is, she's my favorite. I mentioned it earlier. That is the 4-time Rise Fiend champ, 5-time Miss Olympia champ. That is Andrea Shaw. You got to meet her, didn't you?
Love her.
Ah,
I haven't met her yet.
huh?
I haven't met her yet.
You
She's
hadn't
amazing.
met her? Oh yeah. I'm surprised you mentioned she did the but I guess different times, whatever. But this is something I want to show. And it's often as I said this, my other half is like he says such as if you're good at something, never do it for free. And often I call this my payment. A friend of mine, she was at the 2023 Olympia when it was in Orlando, and she got me this issue of Muscle Development. It's Andrea on the cover, and this is why there's some days where I say I get tired of this shit. Trying to talk about y'all ladies, y'all don't support me. Y'all act like a bunch of y'all better $800. But you know what? When someone like Andrea says that, George, I love your support and I appreciate it. This keeps me going. I had a friend of mine. Her name is Stephanie. She was of Samantha. She was going to compete this weekend at the Ultima Classic, but she's not feeling well. She's shot to Samantha Ray. I interviewed her a while back, and she's going to make her whole debut, but she's has to settle. She sent me some pictures. Got sent them one of my packages, and she sent me a couple pictures. I say, I really appreciate it. I joked to her and say, how dare you see these buff, beautiful, muscle molly pictures to muscle her smell like me? But I thank her. And I appreciate when anytime I make connections with y'all ladies and you support my content and you support me. And I'm a fan of quite a few ladies. Some ladies, not much others, but I really respect y'all passion, commitment for the sport.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we were talking earlier. What is the plan now?
So the plan is going into off season. I'm in reverse. Um, but I'm going to take a good off season, fix what I need to be fixed, and then early next year come back harder, do everything that the judges, said, and just come at my best. I'm really excited for that.
That's good. That's it. Like I said, bodybuilding, what I've been told, it's not a race, it's a marathon. It's a
No,
process.
no.
Yes.
You
Yes. And
want longevity. I think a lot of people, they're so easily distracted of, what could happen to their body in the future because they just want to get on stage. They don't take proper off seasons. They just rush things, and you can't rush things in bodybuilding. And I just think that people have to be a little bit, well, it doesn't matter, they can do whatever they want, but I personally, I want to be smarter about this. Like, I had knee issues during this last prep, which I didn't even know if I was going to make it to stage. But I did everything I could possibly do to get it working again. And fortunately, I was able, to go through it. But if it got worse, I'm not going to push through that because I'm not going to lose my knees. When I'm done, when I retire from bodybuilding, I still want to go run. I still want to do things that I wouldn't be able to do if I just completely ruin my body, if I don't listen to it. And I think a lot of people just rush to the stage.
yeah, I think one thing, especially a lot of younger people, they want everything quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't want to burn yourself out by the time you are ready for that opportunity. Was that long ago where a young lady who passed away,
Yeah.
circumstances was dealing with, trying to, you know, really using a diuretic for her doing her prep when she wasn't ready yet. She had like 21 weeks to her show.
Yeah.
And there's always that issue where the use of is everybody look at bodybuilding by steroids. They're like, yeah, everybody's on steroids. Everybody's using gear. But the thing is, and I've learned in conversations, it's only that small factor of percentage of what's going to sport. If you don't diet, you don't train, you don't work out, if you don't, you know, stick to the discipline, because you know what, you have to eat certain things constantly because it's part of your diet. Like when you're training, what's those things that you, especially when you're working out, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite
For food,
for training and food?
training and food. Well, my least favorite is probably the exercises that I need to do more of. So, I guess
But say
glute,
it.
glutes.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't really like training. I think when I start training like when I start training them more, I'll embrace that. But um, as far as food, it depends on if I'm in off season or in prep because things taste different. I try to stick with like I prepare things that taste like my green beans. I'm not going to put them in the microwave. I'm going to put them in the air fryer so they're going to taste good. So I prepare my food to the point where I'm kind of more excited to eat, the food that I need to eat. Um, but yeah.
yeah. The thing is, everybody has things they like about the sport. That is one thing. That's the most important part because that's what helps you grow. The
Mhm.
training, you have to, like I said, glutes is not your favorite.
Not my
It's thing.
favorite from
Yeah,
guest. So,
yeah,
it's those things. Yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing you have to work on the most. I know some ladies tell me that, oh, they don't like doing chest workouts, they don't like doing bench presses. The one that is, I think, the least favorite for most bodybuilder is leg day. Unless you're wellness, I compare it. I remember how I compare it to, it's like the episode of the Chappelle Show when Charlie Murphy meets Rick James and go back to Dave's house and not to Eddie Murphy's house, and then Rick's going like, "F your couch, Eddie Murphy," and they beat his legs, Charlie and Eddie. That's how a leg day for a bodybuilder is. But anything is, if you work on your strengths and also as much as your weaknesses, you'll be a better overall athlete in the long run.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing also people need to understand is that you are an athlete. I know, like doing this content and talking to ladies, like people may not understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And then you have to deal with, the prejudices of the people outside of the sport. Like ladies tell me how to have to, especially if you're a trainer, you're dealing with training somebody. A lady tell me, says like, "Oh, I want to get as big as you," but you're not going to get as big as her if you don't follow diet, you don't be consistent, you don't work out, you don't train. You maybe get in better shape, but you're not be as big. Also, understanding the aspects of bodybuilding. Like for one thing, I said this: when we as the people go see all the shows, we see these beautiful bodies on the stage in conditioning shape, but to understand that the hunger you're going through, dehydration, tired. Sometimes I saw I was watching this video with it was a reel with Richard Daniels, where she's talking about how she had a bad week. This was prep week for her, peak week for her. She had a bad week where her bed broke down.
Oh yeah.
This happened. This, yeah,
that, I that was me because when one thing happens, like everything else happens. That just reminded me of my prep 2 years ago. That stuff
yeah.
like that happened, but it was so fun. It was so funny. I mean, she dealt with it pretty well. I
The
don't know if I
glue.
the Gorilla Glue out in prep because it would do the same thing. I would get it stuck in my hair. It would be stuck everywhere, especially like before she flew out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it rains, it pours.
It reminds me of an old song. It's used to show called Heihaw, where there's a little segment where these guys sings like, "If it weren't for bad luck, I have no luck at all. You despair agony on me." I used to love watching that show. But yeah, anybody who do this sport understands aspects of, I gotta say, gotta respect you. And my channel is about giving y'all ladies the opportunity to share that story. You know, with the guys, as I said, the division is the bottom bitch division. They're the ones getting attention and the money, but y'all ladies make up the percentage of the sport. Now a fit model coming in is going to be a lot larger, and that's why it's good to hear someone like yourself who served our country, who works as an airline attendant, who still have a passion for this sport, where most people wouldn't be able to find the time or even the discipline or the persistence or the patience or determination to do what y'all do. Because most anybody else will say, you know what, I can't do it, I give up, I'm just done.
Yeah. I have the personality that keeps me going. I'm very regimented. I'm a perfectionist, which can be a curse sometimes. But I I do things at a certain time. Like I eat the same times every day, even when I'm flying. Um, I think that's what I'm a planner. I'm a list. I like writing lists. So that really, really helps me uh, basically, do bodybuilding and succeed in it.
The quote from my favorite movie is Batman Begins, where Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul tells Bruce Wayne, says, "Beware surrounds all time, Mr. Wayne. Never give sure footing for a killing blow." And that's the thing, like you have to learn to be aware of what you're doing, because you're in a sport where there's a lot of risk, little reward, but from you ladies I talk to, you love what you do. I
There's
wish it was
reward. There's not little reward. Maybe like in like monetary, for women or whatever, but we won't get into that.
no, no, no.
Uh, there's a lot of reward. Um, so it's just what you feel is the reward. If you're in it to make money, it's probably something that you don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on what you're going for and what you feel is a reward. I think it's a reward to be able to train, to be able to do the nutrition, to be able to walk on stage. I have 2 arms, I have 2 legs, and I'm healthy. I am so blessed by God that I have all these things and that they work. So I just look at it as a blessing that I am able to do this, because there's so many people that aren't able to do the things that we do.
Yeah, the thing is I like I said again, you ladies, you put a lot of work into this, and you understand the facts of it. Most people still won't be able, like, not be acceptable to it, but as long as you find something for yourself out of the sport, that's important to yourself. Here, my man Battle again. He says this. He says, when it comes to fan interaction, Miss, has there ever been a crazy moment for you, or was it all chill? And also, this is from Be Again. He says, "Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for bringing awesome and all that you do. Could you give me a flex if you nah, she don't have to do that. So we said we appreciate it. Thank you, because his thing is, guys, don't ask for flexes. If you want to see them, you can go to. That's why I have the link. Because she does enough of it when she practices and trains. She flexes every day. If you want to see a flex, the link in the description, you can go. Don't You should just kept the thank you. I should have stopped it, but like I said, you're saying thank you, and but guys, I don't ask for flex. You have to do it. You have to be willing and want to do it. I won't ask. That's my thing. But back to battles, because I said, you ever had any weird or issues like that?
There's been a couple of things I find a little creepy and weird, but you just take it with grace, and it depends on if it's elaborated or it continues. That would be a different level. But no, everybody's been very, very sweet, and yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, there's a community, as they call us guys who are fan of Women of Muscle, we're the small community. And many of us, we love y'all ladies. We're fans of you. Yes, some can be a little bit excessive. Some guys can be weird. There's an old schmo saying, I remember first time I used to be on this, when I was younger, I used to be on this message board. We used to talk about bodybuilding, yeah. And I remember this guy said, "Hey, is your first time on this here, kid?" I said, "Yeah, it's my first time." He says, "Well, this is saying." I said, "What's the saying?" It says, "Well, you ladies rock hard, we're rock hard." But that's a different situation. But to respect you as an athlete and as a woman, that's the important part. To understand the sacrifice you make, with your choice being this bodybuilder, with your job, with your lifestyle. And it's good that people support you, especially your mom. Because I've had stories with ladies where saying, like, what, the parents don't like, because, like, especially like if your mom's like saying, "Sweetheart, I don't want you to be so manly. I want you to be married and happy and have kids. And I don't want my girl to be, or the dad says, "I already got a boy. I don't need another son." But
My
you
dad,
not
my dad is so funny. He's so proud of me. He just kind of he looks at me and says, "I made that." And I'm like, so I just kind of laugh. He's so proud. So I am very blessed with my circle.
Yeah, that's good. This is mine. I made that with this woman.
That is my
This is mine.
daughter.
That's my dog. Yeah, that's great, because you know what? That's good. That's good. That's good to hear that. Then I know your dad. He ever go to your shows?
Yeah, he's gone to my shows. Some of
That's
them.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Your dad said, "Yeah, that's my baby. That's my baby." But
Yeah.
you gotta be careful. Say, "Hey, Your baby's all plump and ripped. Yeah, yeah. Say, hey, that's my little girl. Shut your mouth. Watch you behave yourself. But that's good because you know what? It's good that you have the support because I've heard stories where families, because one thing when you get into bodybuilding, it could change your life. Family and friends change. You can't do what you used to do when you were not a bodybuilder. And also again, we go back to the diet thing. Like this is a question I ask you, ladies, especially being a fat man. I like food. And I was a lot heavier before, but I dropped a few pounds here and there. But tell me, share with me, Lisa. What's that thing that you wanted the most? That thing that was calling you. That thing that was, as I say, make you stranger, but it makes you stronger.
The thing regarding what?
Food. After the show, what you had
Oh,
after?
oh gosh. I don't even want to tell you because it's gonna.
Go ahead. I've heard some crazy stories. Come on, you can share it.
Okay, I'm obsessed with bran muffins. I love bran muffins and I like sub sandwiches. Those are like the top two things. I don't know what it is. A sandwich and a bran muffin, I'll be completely happy. And it changes every prep. Like my first prep or my second prep, I was crazy for nuts. I had to go hide. I had to buy individual nut butter and hide it on top of my locker in my gym. So it was like if I wanted it, I would have to walk all the way to the gym to get it. So I wouldn't do that. I don't keep stuff in my house that I can't eat during prep. But and then my second or my third prep, I was obsessed with lemon, anything lemon. But it's always been consistent with the bran muffins and the sub sandwiches.
I mean, I've heard stories where ladies tell me, one lady told me that she loves sushi.
Uh,
And me personally, I grew up poor, but not that poor where I had to eat cold raw fish.
mhm.
But yeah, I think everybody has the things that they love, especially because in your prep, you can't eat, you have to be stuck to a strict diet. You can't always eat what you like to eat or want to eat, but that's the thing of the process. You want to build this great body. Mm,
Right. Like I
yeah,
said, like in prep, when I'm eating my food, I'm obsessed with fish too. It depends on how I prepare it. Like if I put it into bake, no, like I have to air fry it. I like it crispy. I like Cajun seasoning on it. Um, and then I air fry my green beans. I can't microwave them. It's ugh. So it like I could eat that for days as well.
all right. So we had content from man BT here. He says, "Sorry, George, didn't mean any harm by asking. I just taken aback, and I am all of admiration for Miss Hutchins' hard work, and so no harm, no foul. All have I love and respect. Well, yeah, thank you, brother. We appreciate that. You know what? Do it for him because he said you want to apologize. Do a little flex. There you go." There you go. I gotta do a little flex for you. Now you can put away your toilet tissue and your lotion. You're good. So, but yeah, yeah. That thing is that everything is in moderation. You have to be smart about it. Because I heard stories ladies could like they be eating like you ever see your Garfield cartoons like throwing food in your mouth for like especially get off the prep. But
I'm
you want to
I'm sorry, what was that?
go ahead. You would say
I'm very blessed. My body will not, and I used to get made fun of. My body when I go and get a cheat meal, it cannot, like I can't binge. So when I go get my cheat meal, I'll have half a burger, a handful of fries, and a donut possibly, and my body will not let me eat more. So I've been really blessed with that. But I've heard like these girls can put me to shame for sure. I've heard stories about it. Yeah.
yeah, that's like I said. I mean, I remember one lady said she ate almost nearly a whole ice cream parlor out, and she woke up puking. I mean, I hear he. I mean, do his content for a while now. I tell you, he's some crazy stories. But the
I've
thing
heard a
is,
whole jar of peanut butter. I've heard that too.
yeah, I mean, tell you the truth, food. Like I say, food is both a tool and a weapon for a bodybuilder. But it's all the ways you eat it and how you eat it. You have to be smart. So, folks, we're not going to hold her much longer. I know she's a busy lady. She has to hit the air, fly out there, and dealing with y'all people. With y'all, if you are on her flight, be respectful, okay? Don't be one of these guys that say, "Hey, stewardess, I want another drink." Nah, be like, "Hello, miss. I saw your interview. Your story is very interesting, very inspirational, and I want to say to you, thank you for your service. But this is what it is when I do this content and we talk to you ladies. It's about you sharing your stories and understanding where you come from and maybe get people to learn. That's one thing about bodybuilding. I think with the prejudice against the sport, because if you look at other sports, to get them a lot more, like talk about the whole thing with steroids. It's all we discussion Monday. We're talking about how steroids is even in the mainstream stuff, but because it's easy to overlook it compared to bodybuilding, it's just about educating yourself about the divisions, about the training, everything that's involved in it. It's not as easy thing. Like friends tell me that I gain friends doing this. Say, "Hey George, if you took the shit I took, they wouldn't look like I do because they don't follow the diet and the guidelines of it." And the working time and your coach and how he got you his next level, it's really deserved.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mhm. So, like I said, we're not going to hold much longer. So, this question I ask you: what would you want out of bodybuilding for yourself as a whole?
I just want to see how far I can go. And it's just, I want to keep on going. If it comes a time where I don't appreciate the process, I don't appreciate prep anymore, I don't like it anymore, that's when it's time to go. Um, I just want to keep on going, see where I get to, and then when my body says, "All right, we're done," we'll be done.
Yeah, the thing is, you can't do it forever, but do it as long as you feel like you want to do it. Like thing, if it's fun, as long as you do it, that's good. If it's not, then move on, do something else. You have a life.
Right.
Life is very precious.
There's
You only
there's
have one.
there's goals that I want to do after bodybuilding, and there's things that I want to do. So it's not the end. There's other fitness hobbies and everything that you can do after bodybuilding.
hmm Here we get from man. Pastor Service says, "Take care, everyone, and have a blessed rest of your day. And thank you for your service." Like Lisa, I will definitely support you in everything you do. I appreciate that, brother. She appreciates that. But if you want to reach out to her, reach out to Genuine Interest. The links are in the description of the live stream, and support her. But I don't want to hear these guys say, "Hey, Lisa, you want to be my flight attendant? I got a one engine plane for you." No, stop that. You sick freak. I mean, come on, guys, do better. Be like Miss Hutchins. Hutchins, we are interested in you again as a serviceman and veteran. We thank you for your service. Um, we would like to you be part of our company. We are looking to advance athletes to a certain level, maybe help them in sponsorship or anything else they need. So, madam, if you're ever interested in it and you like our plan, our project, and our product, if somebody work with you in your path as an athlete, let us know. We'll set everything up. We have a good relationship, and we see how things go in the future.
You said
That's
it.
a yes. Yeah, that's all right. That's a yes. Yeah, all right. Okay, good. We got some goals. Sign the contract, baby. But but we do appreciate time she giving us with her, with us. Wish her our best of luck. Congratulations again to a win. Hope we do see her next year. There are a couple of shows first of the year that's opportunities for figure, most definitely Triple O. That's my girlfriend's show, Andrea's show. I love her. She's my girlfriend.
Sure.
And I know I sound sensitive, but I think she's a beautiful woman. I think she really changed the sport of bodybuilding. The people I've talked to, interviewed, know her, that really, really, really draws her to, that really draw me to her because we need people like her, people like yourself, who truly have passion for a sport, who truly loves it and understands it. It's not enough that you don't get the much of sport attention as you do as the guys do. But y'all ladies, y'all put just as much as work, just as much time. And like I said again, the cost for y'all is a little high, especially on prep show day. I mean, you gotta get your hair and makeup done, everything else, gotta have your high heels done. Y'all need a little bit more, not just from us, but also within your own organization.
And for the people out there, if there's a show, a bodybuilding show, um, come out and see us. Come see the females live stream. It's so much fun. Um, that helps a lot when we have people that come to our shows and they live stream. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I live in New York Pro last weekend. I missed some of it because my sister's birthday was that same day, so I had to go, and celebrate with her. My oldest sister, she's just turned 67. When I was coming up, my mom and dad were working hours. She had to, take care of me. People thought she was my mother, but she was my sister. But yeah, I try to support as much as I can. That's why I just posted a post for the Ultimate Classic. They'll do a live stream, but you can go to their uh, social media platforms and check out any pics stuff that's posted up there. They should do it because hey, it's a good show. I know quite a few ladies who compete in that show that weekend. But whatever you do in life, that's what you want to do, and it's best for you. You should enjoy the opportunity, but also take time to think about what you want the most for yourself. Yeah. So folks, we'd like to thank Lisa for her time and appreciate for coming through. Oh no, he has to say this. If he doesn't, he just blows up. He says this. He says, Lisa, I want to tell you something. You are beautiful.
You do the laugh pretty good.
Yeah, it took me. It took me some time.
It sounds like it came naturally.
Well, no, I've always been kind of an entertaining kid growing up. I mean, but when he started playing that version of the Joker, he just took it and just. I watched Jack Nicholson's Joker. I watched Cesar Mero. I remember Mark Hamill's Joker for the Batman animated series. But Heath came along. His cadences you have to learn. Like you have to talk like you're not one of them. They're effective rules. So I'm just the head of the curve. If my man KO was here, he'd be talking shit about me because he hates it. But then what? That's my thing. That's my niche.
Good.
But again, at least I appreciate the time you're giving me and to talk with me. Best of luck in your future. Anybody want to shout out to before we let you go?
Gosh, there's a lot of people, but all my people in my corner, God, I want to give a shout out to mostly. Yeah. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, like this, my man Rocky Balboa. It's not matter how hard you can hit, it's how hard you take the hits. Keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Yeah, hey yo, Adriana. So, yeah, I'm a joker at heart. But like I said, I think my guest came through a Man Panther 7 BT battle. All you guys who are here, who support my content, who are interested, shout out again to Lisa. Reach out to genuine interest guys. Don't be that weird guy. I don't want to be hearing stories. Come on, come on, guys, stop it. I know these ladies cite you, but you get more with a silk glove than with an iron fist. And I know what you're doing with that iron fist. So, thank you again, Lisa. I appreciate your time. Best of luck to your next competition.
thank you.
To quote from my favorite movie again, Batman Begins. When Jim Gordon said to Batman, says, "I never get a chance to thank you." Batman turned around and says, "You never have to." I love that. It's great. Maybe just me, but So, folks, thank y'all for coming through. Thank you for supporting. Shout out again to Lisa. Also, everybody, I hope you have a great upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to our troops, our sailors, our soldiers, all who serve our country. Who have the battles that come before you, the battles that come after you. So, thank you again. Not say thank you. I appreciate the sacrifice you have made for this country. So, anyway, this is me always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. I am out. Good afternoon, good night, and God bless the troops.